This is day 505 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. If you'd like to sponsor upcoming share or more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please contact me directly. It'd be greatly appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Shin Tez Vav Tez Zayin till Shin Tez Zayin Daled. So we're still in the middle of the halachos of oil. Tez Zayin. Vanota Paroches. Somebody puts up a paroches, a curtain on in front of the Aron Kodesh, or something similar to that, like any type of curtain. Certainly, all the shinoita. You should be careful not making oil when he's putting it up. That's the way it works with the paroches. But when people are involved with it, also and hanging it up, it's kapel. Some of it's width folds over. This kapel tefach hareish b'zeh oil. It's going to be a tefach folded over, then it has an oil. If I forgot the Gemara park the b'chayitza b'zeh b'lashon tmiyah, even though the Gemara asked about this in astonishment, if you loosened your sleeve, went the tefach below your or below your, well, it's not really a sleeve. You loosen your garment, and when a tefach out, or your cape, a cape would be a better example. Are you going to be chayiv because of oil? When you wrap the towels in your head, and the towels goes out the size of a tefach, with a tefach. We say also this is an oil, ayin sham. Nevertheless, not the same thing. When you're putting on clothing, you're not making oil. It's nothing. By parochos, you are making oil, in essence, because that's because you're making a tent in front of the Sefer Torah. And the beginning is the oil, mission is borrowed. But really, it's not. It doesn't have the prohibition of oil because it's vertical and not horizontal at all. But then if it folds horizontally, a tefach, but said we'll have the halach of oil. Therefore, if it's a large parochas, one person should not hang it. Who has to come to fold over a tefach? Seems like a very big chumrah, but okay. Divided this couple tefach, definitely is going to tefach be folded over. The b'shnayim is because but two, where one holds one corner, and the other holds the other corner. They can hang it up in a way it won't fold over. Times the issue some shloit close parochas b'Shabbos, and in this account that people are careful not to hang up parochas on Shabbos. Yudzayim because Rabbeinu Beis Yosef b'sif Yud Beis. Yimai said kila sheyesh lagag. And most afilu asara. If you had a canopy over a bed, and which had a roof, you can't pull a taut. Even 10, which of course is a little bit cryptic. It can't be. It's not going to be lifted up above the ground. The tassa all around become a temporary tent. It's quite cryptic. So the Arukh HaShulchan explains here. This is what the Rambam says. This language of the Beis Yosef. So tell you about a canopy where there is at least a tefach of a roof on it. If not, there's no oil. How do we tell what's the roof? There's a hem on the top of the canopy, which is a width of a tefach. So that looks like a roof. It's in a move on cloud. But the language then afterwards, it shouldn't go up a little bit over above the ground. It's not understood at all because it's already the top of the canopy. And the entire matter is very difficult to understand. So he says the mem de me'al haaretz hu ta'us. The mem in me'al haaretz is a mistake. It shouldn't be high over the ground. Fucking Brusha. This is what we say. When he's boy, the kilo shame but tefach mutar and tosa. A kilo which does not have a tefach in its roof, you're allowed to hang it. But tefach osin tosa, but it has a tefach, you're not allowed to hang it. We can't lo tosa. Here it's talking about not talking about to hang it, but rather to make it taut like a parochas. In other words, make it taut vertically. So we're saying Isser. That's not prohibited. Can't show some come out parochas because they make it like parochas, which is like a curtain. Now migolo kamusa, but since it's large, at some part of it will be over the ground. So it's going to be folded over, and you have to be careful when you're making it taut that you shouldn't have a folded over portion of a tefach. You know, I guess these canopies, maybe it was a misunderstood kilos last night. Maybe Itaka is only a kilo as something which only has sides and not tops. I don't think that's the way they learned it ever, but I'm going to countenance that based on this, and it has a thin strip around the side in this kilo, which can be considered like a roof. A garment which you spread on top of a jug, a barrel, actually, to cover when it has some beverages. Don't spread it over the entirety oil because it's of an oil. But leave some of it uncovered. That way it doesn't look like oil. If you're going to ask why is it also put on the entire barrel, we already explained that a roof without mechitzas is not an oil, roof without walls. But we already know that the place where, so I guess it's not flush, obviously it's not flush on the barrel, because then the barrel's walls are its walls. Rather, it's like an awning you put on top of the barrel. It doesn't have walls. So, but however, we already explained, the place where the intent is to make an oil, you don't require mechitzos. But it's the v'hacha, oil here is minded to make an oil. To make a tent on the wine, nothing will fall into it. Therefore, when you leave it a little bit open, that's okay because your advantage has just been squandered. That's why it's not an oil. It's also not covering a pot. Where there's no issue of oil. That's how you cook in a pot. And it's small in quantity. Below Mexico doesn't look like an oil. But this barrel is very big. Mexico never looks like oil. As he underlines that, Marina Chavis Godola do be a kuva. He'll talk about a large barrel which is similar to a kuva. I guess a kuva is something different. There's isn't wine until the top. But there's a gap of a tefach at the top. The shaykh oil chol tefach. There's an oil for a tefach. So it sounds here like I was wrong before that it is flush with the top of the barrel, but then I guess it's not. It extends over the sides of the barrel, so the barrel is not the wall for it. But I'm not sure. If it does not have tefach in height of airspace, there's no oil above it. Zelian iser oil. That terms the iser of oil. Yesh chashash iser acher. There's a altogether different chashash. Mishum schita because the wine might get into it and then you might squeeze it out. These barbs said shmai b'simun shin chaf ayin sham. The Mishmur writes to Das. The opinion of the Rav and Rashba is no matter how you cover a keli, there's no oil involved. But you should be machmir like the Shulchan Aruch, which is the opinion of many Rishonim, not to put an awning over the. Not to put this garment over the wine barrel. And those who make you don't have to protest against them. They have on whom to rely. Bir Locha also says they're talking about here, so it shouldn't be an issue of schita of a beged which you normally use to cover your wine barrels. So you're not be concerned. You're not going to bother you if it gets immersed into the beverage or into the wine. Many years ago, I was only Shalvim. Rosh Hashiva was trying to prove a point to us, and he said. He knew somebody who said, on Shabbos I don't cover bottles. Open a soda bottle, don't cover it. So, because I'm machmir because of oil. So the Rosh Hashiva said to me, it's not an oil, right? You cover pots, right? Can you just make up a chumrah like that? So he said, he said, you can't make up a chumrah like that. So the guy said, everybody has their chumras. This is my chumrah. So I wrote an article about good chumras, and this is not a good chumrah. You can take a look at the article where I believe I quote this story. Okay, Shinta Zayin. Dine Isser Tzeda B'Choyvel. The prohibition of hunting and of wounding. You have to hear it. Aleph. Tzeda B'Avos Melachos. Tzeda is one of the primary hunting is one of the primary it's really not so much hunting as capturing, but it's trapping. Trapping is the better word. It's one of the Avos Melachos. Because it's one of 39 primary categories. Shekshatzare is a davar sheish b'mino tzeda, when you trap something which is meant to be trapped. That the normal manner of people is to trap them. Chayv amazes skila. Chayv did it deliberately skila or kare stoning or excision. Which shogi chayv chatos did it unintentionally. You're chayv chatos. But say the Haisa Mishkan, this trapping was in the Mishkan. Shayu tzuchim chilazon. That to go out and trap the chilazon. For its blood, or whatever we say it is, and trunculus, it's like not the regular blood, it's a different sack of liquid. To call it chelas. So, and they would trap it. They also used to trap the chashim, which was, we don't know exactly what it was. Rashi says it only existed at that time. Its hides as a covering on the Mishkan. They also had to trap the quail. I'm not sure what that had to do with the base with the Mishkan though. In the Gemara, it's clear that the chilazon, the snail, assuming it's Murex trunculus, trapping is relevant to it. The Gemara Yerushalmi Perek Klau Golish B'Zeh Plukta. The Yerushalmi it's Machlekes. The Yesh Mishlevet the Ein Tzei B'Chilaz. Those who hold that there's no trapping by chilazon. By time near Li. It seems to me the reason is tolas ba'alma, since it's a worm, but snail is basically a worm. Mikre so it's the type of thing which people don't trap. But nevertheless, is that you do have a trapping by the chilazon. In brackets, and Farshim Sham Pilshim Sham the Sfira ain't Seder b'Avos Malchus Cloud. They say that Yerushalmi holds that Seder is not one of the Avos. The Vivram Temuim. It's astonishing to say such a thing. Can't go to a Taisus Elu Shoina. His language of the Taisvis, in probably obviously, I ain't hear it out. But Tzarchim, the Yerushalmi Mashid Tzarchilos and Lamachai Mishum Tzeda Akal Shona. It's unclear why the Yerushalmi says you're not Chai because of Tzeda. B'Zeh says Arukh HaShulchan B'Zeh Kidvarenu. That's he means like we meant, not that the Tzeda is not one of the Melachos. That's Kasim Shitas. The Taisvis just wrote it simply, in other words, as if that is the opinion of the Yerushalmi. V'emes yesh plukti Yerushalmi b'nshut. There's a machlekes in the Yerushalmi. Base. There's no explicitly stated derivative malachos from Tzeidah in the Gemara Yerushalmi. He writes, somebody who sends out dogs, that they should trap deer, or rabbits, similar things. And the deer fled on account of the dog. And the dog was running after the deer. No. Means the owner, the man, was running after the deer. Or you were standing in front of the deer. Frightened it. Until the dog could catch up and seize it. This is the derivative of Tzeidah, and you're liable. Same thing, do the same thing by birds. According to his perspective, it's called when you direct the dog to trap the deer or the bird. And you are helping the dog in his work. You're not assisting the dog. You say to the dog, go. The right says no, the term malacha, rak is a shvus, only in the Rabbanan. B'zesh kasa Rabbeinu Ramah b'sif base. There's a Ramah writes, Meshase, Kelev achar chayef, you sick a dog on a domesticated animal. B'Shabbos, habit seder. It's trapping. Some say that some people say that even on a weekday it's also because of Moshav Leitzim. Interesting. She'll explain. If you have in mind you're going to help the dog in its work, have it deraisa. It's a Torah provision. But if you're not going to help the dog, have it the rabbanon. He writes that even a weekday might be also bid, but if the dafka they cloven. That is specifically by dogs. But yourself, you're allowed to hunt if you need that. For your work, or parnasa, or for your livelihood, or to eat. But they klovim have a moishav leitzim. Evidently, we're talking about like fox hunts in the old days, and before they were outlawed in England. I guess any type of hunt with dogs is kind of like a whole ritual in and of itself, and it's a moshav leitzim. And it's a severe penalty here. But lo yizkel liros b'simchas livyason. You won't be able to eat from the simcha of livyason lost level. Kisa medrash parasha Shmini, ayin b'sifei, which will be tomorrow. Yitzhak Hashem. Okay, Gimel. Kasaram sham hatzad davar shederach mina latzud. Also, somebody who traps something which is normally trapped. Chayav, he's chiyav deraisa. Going on. Chayav lofas dogim, such as domestic, non-domesticated animals, birds, and fish. As long as you trap them to a place where you don't need additional trapping. Ketzad house, so you ran after a deer until you got into a house, or lagina, or to a garden, or to a courtyard, and you locked in front of it. Or you caused the bird to fly until it went into a large cupboard of some sort. And you locked it. Or you fished out of the sea into a bucket of water. Raise the chayav, you're liable. But if you cause the bird to go to a house, which is much larger than a cupboard, and then you lock the house, or you frighten the fish, or you made it go from the sea to a pool. Osha, which is much larger than a bucket, obviously. Osha Radav Achar Tzvi Achi Nichlas the Traktin Rachav, or you ran after a deer until it entered a broad hall. And you locked the hall, or raised the putter exam. Shane's and Cedar Gemara, that's not complete trapping. Because if you need to cut, if you want to take it, you still have to run after it and trap it again. So there's some Mishnah to trap it in those confines. Therefore, if you hunt lions, you're not liable until you put it into the little cage in which it is held prisoner. But elsewhere, anywhere when you're going to be able to get to the animal in that enclosure with one burst of speed. Or the walls of the enclosure were so close that the shade of both walls would meet in the middle. That's called a small place. If you made the tear or anything else go into that size place, chayav, you're liable. Some place is large than that. You make a non-domesticated animal or a bird go into there, then you're potter. Rambam is to distinguish between birds. The klala kaya lof ain based seda. Seems he holds in general that by birds there's no seda. Seems to be Allah deals with this in some other way, but let's see how the Arukh HaShulchan deals with it. The Torah doesn't draw any distinction between birds. Even though the Gemara itself distinguishes between a tzipor dror, which is a free-thinking bird, dror means liberty. The shayrovas, the other birds, the shayrovas gamabais have it say the other birds, even in the house, it's considered to be trapping. Only it's the tzipor dror. I'm always saying it as a hummingbird, but I don't think that's actually what it is. Which does not accept the mastery. The shmetas misabes is and if you go after it, it flies from corner to corner. Love it said about bias actually said me though. It's not going to be trapped if it's in the house until you put it into a cupboard. K'mosh Kosher Rabbeinu, he says if Al Zel Shloim, he says righteous. At Tzatzi Parlamidl Shu Nitzabo. If you trap a bird to into a cupboard where it is considered to be trapped, the shots of bias and other types of birds, the house is considered trapped. Nevertheless, even though there's that distinction in the Beis Yosef, Ram and Tur do not hold such distinction. Neither did the Rif and the Rosh. Because they hold this is just a push-off answer. And that is not the conclusion. In other words, that there is no conclusion is that there's no difference between birds. All birds are have the same status. That into a house it's not Seder, into a migdal is Seder. No matter what the size of the bird is, and the house is never a form of Seder. Brackets. And this is why I mean why the posting don't take this answer seriously, because it says, and now when you come into this, can be bargola, can be bargotan. One place to tell you about a large enclosure, one a small enclosure. What's a small enclosure? Called the right mahati. Anytime you run and one burst of speed, you can get the animal. The closed volume, the gamba ophos. So it comes out by all things, even by birds. But by its custom, won't have a tzeda. If it's a small house, it is considered to be trapped. But come on, came around because of Zeh, and since the Rambam already wrote about this by the animals, came Rambam because Shuv ain't so looking the Tibor. He doesn't have to tell us about this wild and libertarian bird. The joy the Yerushalmi has the distinction between birds, ayin, sham. So within the house, actually, Rambam would be machmir. Within the house would be mitzeda, no matter how mischievous the bird is. Bako says you want to concern the answer to the shas, see what he says, and it's not true. The very nice shas, according to what he wrote, it works out well. On the contrary, on the Beis Yosef we should be astounded. Why he distinguished? We came to the court and say, no rabbis hold this distinction. Why is he arguing on them? It's not clear why. Hey, Yereli, what seems to be the avagav, the tzipul of bias ain't tzeda, even though a bird into a house is not going to be tzeda, v'chein dog lebrecha, and so to a fish into a. What did I say before? I said tzipul to the house is tzeda. They're both no. You need a migdal no matter what by a bird. Avagav tzipul of bias ain't tzeda to a house, it's never considered to be trapped. V'chein dog lebrecha, and so to fish into a fish pond. With three attracting and a deer in a large hall. Never somebody who traps them afterwards from that place where they're not considered trapped. And somebody who trapped them, put them in this place is potter. But the guy who comes afterwards and traps them from this new place is also not is also potter. Even though the first guy not finished the tzeda to its completion, nevertheless, that should be called from here on in. Still trapping doesn't seem correct. Because ultimately they can't leave these confines. It's possible the first guy re-trapped them from that zone where he wasn't chayiv the first time. He's a chayiv the second time. At some point he did Seder, the first time and the second time. Tzarchim. I'm not saying about it because of Beitza. The Chomakam, the Mikra Mechusat Seder, place right a place where it's called lacking trapping. Hatzad Misham Chayim Min HaTorah. You are Chayim Min HaTorah for trapping it in a what's my place here? Another say about this because anytime it's a place where it's not considered yet trapped since it's a large area. Somebody who traps from there, yeah. Look at very not like we wrote. Came before with the Ram Shabbos. So it's just in Shabbos, same thing. The Ram after the Mikra is at Tolada Seder. According to them, perhaps it's called the derivative of Tzeda. The Tzeda Gemara Avitz HaMamish. True Tzeda is where you literally trap the animal. Tolada Mikra, and the Tolada is Ava Gav Shem Mokum Shem Kinit Soidin. Even though in the place where it looks like they're hunted, they're already trapped. Because they can't leave there. But if they're not fully prepared for human use, because it takes effort to run after them, should start pursue them in this place. Have a Tolada Seder. It's a derivative Seder, but not Seder itself. I'm not sure Ramish question about Tzipah Lebay's Chulish aids at Seder Gemura. Masha could read it Seder Have. It seems like the Ram is learning that it is Seder. Achloni Gemara Tzeda Daim, but it's not yet complete. Tzad Misham Shita She'etz Tzeda Gemara. So if it's a partial Tzeda, the guy who takes from there, next stage, he's only doing partial Tzeda also. Not enough to make Mabi Mechayev. Minus if you'd Ram Shtav come and see him in Tough Tzadik Zayin, Raya Dvainu Avdali or Arukh HaShulchan comes back to this in the future.